My name is Brandon, and this is a standard 15-round Talon magazine. And this is a 29-round magazine from Out of Darts called the Tachi. Despite Heath's greatest efforts, Talon magazines are the standard magazine of the hobby. However, while there are plenty of 3D printed options for Talons, there aren't a whole lot of off-the-shelf commercial products that exist. There's a handful of cosmetic variations, the new angled Talons, but it's pretty much 15s and 18s, which I don't have on me at the moment. At least until recently, when this was released by Out of Darts as an Out of Darts exclusive designed by Eli Wu. So to get all of the obvious things out of the way, it is a Talon magazine with Talon magazine geometry. It holds 29 rounds. It is $23, and it is very large. And when this was first announced, there were some doubts about how this magazine would perform just because of its sheer size and the curve as well as the spring strength. But now that I have one, I can tell you that it doesn't feed any slower than a regular Talon. In fact, I think it feeds a little faster, probably due to the obviously longer spring being compressed much more, which makes it stronger. It's not as strong as a Foam Blast drum mag, but it's somewhere in between. So far, the only notable compatibility issue with this mag is the Lepus. The Lepus can't fit this. Something to do with the lips of the Talon right here colliding with something inside the geometry of the magwell. It doesn't work with that blaster. However, that's the only blaster I've really heard of having any issues so far. I'm sure there's one or two out there because there are a lot of blasters out there that sometimes have issues with things. But generally speaking, it's fine. One thing to note is that on a standard Talon, these lips actually curve. They come out like a double C shape. And on the Tachi, it goes straight up. The whole side profile is the same width all the way down, whereas a Talon is actually wider at the top. I actually like this because there's a few blasters that I have where the magwell is a little bit tight, like my MHP Mark II, and regular Talons actually have a lot of friction, but this was able to go in just fine with no problems. It was completely smooth. Now, with all that out of the way, it's a magazine. There are no problems with it, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. However, there are 2 points that I think are worth discussing. First off, the quality of this magazine is extremely impressive. It's injection molded out of a plastic called Triton, which has a melting point of something crazy like 280 degrees Celsius. And looking at spec sheets, its shatter resistance is on par with polycarbonate. So this is significantly more durable than the usual ABS magazines that we're used to having, and certainly more durable than any 3D printed magazines that we make. This is obviously long. It's something like 15.5 inches, and I'm unable to flex it in any direction. And when I apply any pressure to it, I hear no creaking of any kind. It's just completely solid. Additionally, the bumper is a bumper. It's a separate piece. So even if this somehow dropped off of something and managed to hit the ground hard enough that it would actually damage the plastic, it's going to shatter this bumper and then disperse that kinetic energy, and the magazine will still be intact. Granted, it's not functional without a bumper because that's what holds the spring on, but in theory, that's easier to replace and fix than the entire magazine because it's a little pricey, which brings me to the second point, which is the cost. To reiterate, this is $23 for a 29-round magazine. The classic 15-round Talon magazine from Out of Darts is $9, and the 18-round magazines are $12. So to put it on the board, that means that the Tachi is weighing in at 79 cents per dart. A standard Talon weighs in at 60 cents per dart, and the 18-rounders are coming in at 66 cents per dart. So oddly enough, the regular Talons are actually the most cost-effective for their dart storage. However, capacity does matter. There's a reason why we carry a 50-round drum instead of 10 5-round magazines. This has roughly double the capacity of a standard Talon. So you're going to have to reload half as often. Granted, this thing is gigantic, and I don't know how you would really carry these on you in any way that is comfortable. The best that I can think of is putting it into a dump pouch or some sort of quiver on your back, or maybe mounting it on your lower back sideways using Velcro or some sort of straps or a tripod bag or something. But no matter which way you carry this, it's not going to be ideal, and it's not going to fit the same muscle memory that you would use for literally anything else. Where I personally see value in this is in a sidearm, where I might just have this preloaded in something on my hip or in a holster, and I'm just going to draw it and use it for a short period of time, not really bothering to reload it. So it's more like a giant internal mag. For something that's for something that's fully automatic, that's fantastic. You can draw this, use it fully automatic to get rid of whatever you need to get rid of, and then after that you go back to using your primary. When you have time, you can reload this. It's just extending the capacity of the blaster, because you're not going to be running a full rig of secondary magazines on you, or at least you shouldn't. That's a waste of space. I also have a personal habit whenever I'm in a war, where when the round is starting, I load up with my normal magazines depending on the loadout that I'm running. However, the magazine that is in my primary blaster is always higher capacity than the rest of my mags. So for example, when I'm using full-length magazines, I will typically run a full set of 18 round clear stick mags. But in my blaster, I will usually start with a 25 round or greater drum that I just basically ditch after the first reload. I throw it into my pouch or on the floor, and then I go back to using regular magazines, because that first reload doesn't matter. It's just starting the game with slightly more ammo. And this allows me to do the same thing for half darts. I can pop this in my links and get double the shots in my first round before I go back to using regular magazines. How valuable is that? I don't know. It's just a thing that I do, and I like doing it. So some part of my brain thinks it's good and valuable, and I'm going to keep doing it. So if you think that it's valuable and good and your brain likes it, then maybe you should do that too. Get one of these and use it as your opener. It's also worth pointing out that sometimes things are just fun, and using a ridiculously oversized magazine is a fun thing to do. Now, whether that fun is worth $23 is a personal decision depending on your lifestyle and budget and disposable income for buying gigantic banana mags. I primarily purchased one because I wanted to see what it was like, and I thought it was cool. Realistically, I'm not going to buy any more. Now, if you've purchased one of these, please let me know in the comments how you feel about it and if you've run into any issues, because I'm curious. There's a kind of a small sample size here of people that I've talked to who actually have one. So if you have thoughts on the magazine, I would love to know. And if you don't have one, but you have any other questions, I don't really know what more I can say about it because it's a magazine, but if you have any questions, I will gladly answer them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.